That's the starting point for a recent series of papers by Dr. Michael Fitzgerald, an expert in child and adolescent psychiatry at Trinity College in Dublin, Ireland. According to the historical record, Dr. Fitzgerald has come to the conclusion that some of our most beloved artists as different as Michelangelo and Lewis Carroll, were working under the influence of Asperger's. He's also posthumously diagnosed Albert Einstein and Thomas Jefferson. The Infinite Mind's Jackson Brader spoke with Dr. Fitzgerald.
Dr. Fitzgerald, welcome to the Infinite Mind.
Hello.
To begin, I suppose we need to get clear on this whole issue of diagnosing the dead. How do you answer critics who say there is no way you can do this with any degree of scientific accuracy?
Well, I mean, that is the first criticism that's made about diagnosing the dead, and it's a rather silly criticism, because the first thing is you have to be trained to make the diagnosis. So I have seen almost 1,000 persons with autism. I've diagnosed them clinically, so I've built up the experience to make this diagnosis. The second issue is the data that's available, and there's often massive biographical data about Lewis Carroll, about Einstein, about Thomas Jefferson, and so you have all the information in the world that you could want, and so it is quite possible to do it, and it can be done accurately.
You recently published a paper on Michelangelo. Why do you think he had Asperger's?
Because he had all the features of Asperger's syndrome. He was aloof, he was a loner, he was suspicious, he was a workaholic, he was an incredibly artistic person, and persons with Asperger's syndrome are often incredibly artistic. He was also extremely controlling, both of himself and of other people, and he had conversational difficulties. He'd walk off in the middle of a conversation, but those are all rather boring bits of it, because what's most interesting.
Bless me, Father, for I have sinned.
And he had very little training.
Rain or shine.
So, but he is still probably the greatest artist of all time. And this largely came from his genetic makeup. We understand creativity of genius proportions now.
Don't ask what I've done or where I've been. Rain or shine.
It only requires very minimal training, and then you have an explosion of creativity.
Is it manifest in his art?
Well, not particularly in his art. His art is just genius. There isn't anything about his art that is particularly autistic, the Sistine Chapel or whatever. It's just the brilliance of his art. He doesn't show it. Lewis Carroll, his book Alice in Wonderland is probably, after the Bible, is the book that's probably sold most books in the whole world. You see there very much in his art. You look at the Alice in Wonderland through the looking glass. It's a very strange story. It couldn't have been written by anybody except somebody with Asperger's syndrome.
Ever find cars? Rain or shine.
She's going small, all the animals are talking, all this kind of thing. Somebody with Asperger's syndrome are absolutely fascinated by